I've been sitting here wondering, do they understand that all 47 delegation plus the 20 senators who are here on a platform of equity? And whether you are a doctor, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are a mama mboga, whether you are a mama karanga like our mama Haki, from nominated senator from Mombasa, we are all sitting on the same seats. So, Mr. Speaker, every time when a conversation is brought to this house and I hear lawyers saying, you know, as a lawyer, you know what are you talking about, Mr. Speaker? We are all senators. We are all elected. We are all representing the same Kenyans. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, it is just a reminder to this house that you might think you know everything, but just as Senator Sifuna has pointed out, we don't know everything, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria, do you want to be informed by Senator Faki?
Mr. Speaker, let me just say this.
Do you want to
I have a background in architecture. I have a background in community
Senator
work.
Gloria.
I do not want to be informed by a person who does not have 3 backgrounds of relevant and vast experiences in different industries. Mr. Speaker, let me just say this. I want to remind all the Kenyans, and particularly our elected leaders from ODM, who, Mr. Speaker, campaigned very hard but failed to convince the electorate because they came with that pride of we are lawyers, we are people. Mr. Speaker, Kenya Kwanza won this government on the basis of kazi ni kazi, Mr. Speaker. Kazi ni kazi. And if you had
Senator Gloria
plan,
Roba, the chair is reminding you to confine your comments to the statement. Confine your comments to
I stand guided, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to put clarity that indeed this government was voted in by 50+1% of the Kenyan population on the basis that they were convinced that they wanted a leader who recognizes all people. Mr. Speaker, kazi ni kazi. And on that basis, Mr. Speaker, and maybe Senator Sifuna could be right, Mr. Speaker, that we don't understand what medical interns are, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, one thing is clear. This issue of trying to elevate one industry as you demote the other, or denounce the doctors as you elevate the other, Mr. Speaker, that is not how we are going to come to a conclusion on how to deal with the crisis that we have with our healthcare sector, Mr. Speaker. First of all, that attitude, Mr. Speaker, that we are expressing, even in this house, the upper house, that some people are higher than others, that is the reason why we have every single time the medical representatives walking out, Mr. Speaker. It is the attitude of not understanding that, first of all, whether you are more special than the other. Our doctors are not in hospital, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've also heard various senators, instead of contributing and adding their voice to a solution on what we can do as a house, as a Senate, to help in this negotiation and actually open that a deadlock that we have, Mr. Speaker. Instead, I have had very honorable senators come here to try and say that our cabinet secretary should not have been put there because she's not a doctor, Mr. Speaker. Today we had our cabinet secretary of interior. Is he a policeman? Was he a Kenya Defense Force officer? Is he a major general? No. Mr. Speaker, we have to start understanding that that kind of minute thinking is the reason we are not solving the health crisis, Mr. Speaker. We should focus our engagement, Mr. Speaker, on why we cannot meet this issue of the interns, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I finalize on my...
Senator Gloria, there is a point of order from Senator Christopher.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I would like to find out if, according to you, Speaker, it is in order for the senator to say that there are senators in this House with minute thinking. I believe that her point precisely is saying the opposite, that we are all here equitably, and therefore we all have the same type of thinking that brought her here, so there shouldn't be a segregation of those who have minute thinking and those who have otherwise. So I wanted your direction the same so that the senator can be guided.
Senator Gloria, you may rephrase that reference to...
I actually do not recall having said minute. However, maybe for clarity, let me say this, and Mr. Speaker, I have the privilege of having gone to St. George's Secondary School, so my English is very good. Mr. Speaker, I actually said that we should not limit our arguments to simplistic thoughts, Mr. Speaker. We should not limit our arguments to simplistic thoughts, simplifying very complex matters. Because I have heard Senator Halwale, and it is in the Hansard. Senator Halwale said that our cabinet secretary, who's not even a doctor, does not understand doctors, blah, blah, blah. And in that comparison, I was just reminding the House that we have our our cabinet secretary for interior. Mr.
Gloria,
Speaker, having belabored the point, let me conclude on what I want to say, Mr. Speaker. This government was voted in by a majority of Kenyans by the fact that we are standing on equity, Mr. Speaker. Our policies, all the things that are in the plan, the Kenya Kwanza plan, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria, conclude.
I am concluding, but just allow me to conclude, Mr. Speaker. The Kenya Kwanza plan, every single policy that is in there, the basis is on equity. We actually won this election because we said kazi ni kazi, Mr. Speaker. So in that sense, Mr. Speaker, I want to implore my fellow senators, while they are contributing to the issues of doctors,
Senator
Mr. Speaker,
Eddie,
to remember that...
Senator Gloria, there is a point of order by Senator Eddie.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on the point of order number 101, content of speech, and 105. Mr. Speaker, you've listened to Senator Gloria executing the issues of elections and how elections were won in this country, and how the agenda of the Kenya Kwanza regime are under trial in this particular conversation this afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Where is relevance in this, Mr. Speaker? I don't even know which statement Senator Gloria is talking about that has questioned whether the current regime lost an election or won an election, that has questioned whether the manifesto is being followed or not.
Made your point,
Mr. Speaker, what is the statement she